The Bolsheviks. The Bolsheviks are most well known for being the communist leaders who eventually took charge in the Soviet Union. They were led by Vladimir Lenin. They broke away from basically the socialist democratic part of the revolution, and it advanced more of a pure form of communism that would gain power in the Soviet Union. The Lost Generation was the name for the people who basically suffered during World War I, and after the war were trying to find basically like a place to live, had become like disillusioned with what happened after World War I. Many writers during this time, like Ernest Hemingway, were known as being part of this lost generation. Many of them were known for traveling around Europe, doing their writing, writing about how like a lot of their idealism of their youth had faded with World War I happening, all the destruction and carnage that was seen. Poison gas. This was used very much in World War I, and it became a real hazard of the war where a gas mask had to be used by people. There was always a threat of being poisoned, which meant you had to have gas masks nearby, which was very scary and just made trench warfare even that much tougher for the soldiers. Let's go over that word, trench warfare. Trench warfare was basically where people were fighting, where the soldiers were in the war. You had basically two lines, trenches that were dug out, and they were shooting at each other. And the reason why they were dug in trenches is because this is an era where the Maxim gun or machine gun was invented, which could fire rapid shots. So it was very hard to make any kind of charge, because if you were in a trench, you could just pick off those people by firing at them. These trenches were dug in France as Germany was trying to advance and take over France. And it basically became a big stalemate, or a big, like, they couldn't get past each other. And one group would charge, get mowed down by machine guns. Another group would charge, get mowed down by machine guns. Barbed wire was put up, poison gas was used. People would basically fight on the same strip of land year after year. Eventually these trenches started getting rats inside of them and just became really nasty, disgusting places to fight and live during the war. A U-boat was a German submarine, and the U-boats basically were first started by the Germans as a way to fight against the British Navy, and it was a way to stop the blockade. The British were trying to block any goods coming into Germany, and the way that the Germans retaliated was by having their submarines or U-boats that the British couldn't see, and they would shoot them down. So U-boats also were known because a U-boat shot down the Lusitania, which basically was one of the main causes for the United States also to enter the war. The 1918 flu epidemic, which really started towards the end and at the end of World War I. It was also called the Spanish flu. It didn't really start in Spain, but that was the name given to the Spanish flu. And this was international. This went as far as Africa, Europe, America, Latin America, and actually more people died from the flu epidemic that happened than everyone who died in the war from fighting. It was a huge disease epidemic, one of the worst pan-epidemics seen in the last century or so.